Welcome to the Bullwhip tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to build from scratch this bullwhip right here. So I hope you learned something. Here we go. Alright, and continue plaiting under 3/2. Pretty simple. As you plait, keep those strands straight down the back, the one straight down the back, and the one straight down the front. Just keep moving it over so it's in line. Alright, we are currently 20, this is my 24-inch mark right here. So we're looking at 28 inches in, and we're ready to drop another micro paracord strand on both sides. Give them one last tug, pull them to the front. One last tug, pull it to the front. And continue on plaiting. Plaiting. Still in under 3/2. And secure those with the glue. Just a dab, doesn't need much. Looks like we're going to be dropping a 550 pretty soon. And we've hit our next dropped micro paracord. Let's see here. Alright, they're both 2 up, which is where you want to land in between. So we're just going to pull those to the front, just like we did with the other ones. Are you getting it by now? Okay. Alright, so we drop those micros, continue on under 3/2. Alright, so snip those about 1 at 4 inches, 1 at 6 inches, and continue plaiting. 11, that's 35 inches in to our whip, plait, and we just came up on 2 strands that are 550, and they are ready to drop. So the blue one can go around the back just like last time. We're going to do that. We take this top one over here, around the back, under 2/2. Now this creates what's called a double drop. You can see, but I'm not too worried about it if it's your guys' first whip. If not, then there's another method you could actually use to achieve a smooth plait all the way down the side. So, and then that one gets to go to the front, the gray side, and we'll take this one around under 2/2. A plait. So snip those, snip the front one about 4 inches, back one 6 inches, and glue them down and continue plaiting. So we've made it to our next micro paracord to drop, and you shouldn't have much left after this one. So we're going to drop this. It's in between both strands, and we got a crazy dog in the back. God damn. What in the fuck? Okay. Anyways, we're dropping these 2 right in the middle of our 4 strands. And now we're back to it. Glue these and secure them. Cut them to 4 inches and 6 inches. Okay, we are ready to drop our last micro paracord strand. Goes to the middle. We're going to snip it at about 6 inches. I already dropped the other one. That one was pretty short. You guys didn't see that, but do about 4 to 6 inches and glue it to the core, and we'll continue plaiting in 8 plat under 2 over 4. I mean under 2 over 2. Just to be clear, that was 44 inches in. There's 48 inches, and this is 4 more inches, and we're at the bottom of the tape on our core, so these are just straight strands, and we are going to drop 2 strands at the same time. No more micro paracord. So what we're going to do, we're pulling less tight as we go down the whip at this point. Make a couple more passes under 2 over 2. Looks like this side's ready for a drop strand. So what we're going to do, so this will be a 52-inch mark. We're going to pull this one last time, put it down the whip straight, or that one can go behind actually, on the back side of it. And we got one over here. Then we're going to go around under 2 over 2, and we're pulling that one straight. So this will kind of fall into the strands that are just dangling here, which is good. And now we are in a 6 plat under 2 over 1. And continue on. Now we can pull our tape since we've reached that mark. Don't worry about the strands unraveling at this point. Just take our tape off. There we go. Just keep going right over the top of that. And you can snip your strands at this point. Let's see here. So that one could be around 6 inches. One's 4-ish. Just so they're not even with the other ones underneath. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim that one back a little bit. There we go. And that looks pretty good. No more gluing to the core. We're just going to plait right over the top of this, and I'll see you at the next drop. Alright, we made it to 5 foot 5 inches. And now we're going to drop these 2 shortest 550 paracord strands. We still have our core, which was set, I don't know, 5 foot 10 or something like that for mine. Doesn't really matter about that. But we still have the core. We're going to flip the whip over, upside down. I know it's going to seem strange. And tighten that down. And now, our plait, we're just going to back it off a little bit here. And take a look and see what we can see here. And now, after you take about a couple strands back, all of a sudden we have a plait on the bottom. And now we can actually drop our strands, because it's actually in over 2 under 1 on these. I mean, it's actually over 2, under 1 over 2 on this side. And it's pointing to this corner, so I'm going to grab it. We're going to go under 1 over 2. And just so happens that that one's lined up to be dropped, so to the perfect spot. Reverse plaiting. So we just drop that one, tighten up our strands over here, and we are going to continue plaiting. It's pointing to this corner. We're going to go under 1 over 2 on this side. Make sure that one gets tucked away right there. Make sure everything's snug, not super tight under one, over one on this side. Right here, under one, over two on this side. And we might do this for a little, about 2 inches, under one, over one on that side. Now we're going to take that core strand and we are going to snip it off, because the other one has become the core now, the one we dropped. Make sense? Continue for about 2 inches past that drop strand. You'll be able to see it because you can pull on it. Okay, so we've reached the 3-inch mark. That's where our first drop strand was, up there. And we're lined up for our next one right here. We're on the back, under one, over two. And the middle one, we could say bye-bye to. Give it a tug. Get everything nice and snugged up. And now, under one, over one on both sides. But since there's 2 strands in the core now, it's going to be pretty tight. So what we're going to do, we're going to snip that gray one from up there where we dropped. We're going to snip that one right now. So the drop strand that we just did becomes the core. I want to snip our, there we go. Under one, over one on each side. We're in 4 plat now. And what was that, the 5-inch mark, 5-foot mark up there? Let's do this. We're going to prepare right now with this core, because our last 6 inches I want it to be coreless. I'm going to go for 6 foot 6 inches. So let's measure 1 foot right here. I'm going to snip that right there. Now our core is exactly 6 feet long. Then after that, after you get past this, you go for another 6 inches, depending on what size you guys wanted to make. I did leave us a little extra room to go out to possibly 7, but 6 foot, 6.5, 7 foot is pretty good. So continue on, under one, over one. All right, we've just consumed the core. Now I'm going to go for another 3 to 6 inches, depending on how I feel. Okay, so we are currently at 6 foot 6 inches. We've plaited the whole whip. Now we need to make the fall and attach it to our whip. All right, to create our fall, I want you to measure. Now it could be 24 inches, it could be 18 inches. Those are good marks to be at. We're going to go 22. So measure, the core is still in, 22 inches. Fold it over on itself. And we're going to give ourselves a little extra, just to be on the safe side, about 4 inches extra. Snip that. Take your core strands out. Get them out! Alright, we did that. Oh my goodness. Alright. So we have our one end here, and we have our Permalock needle made for micro paracord. Grab your lighter. We're going to shape the tip of this. Guys, you need a short break. Go ahead and take one right now, okay? Yeah, I'll buy a drink, okay. Shaping the tip of the paracord. Here we go. All we're going to do is just something like that. Don't pinch hard. We're just trying to get a cone shape on there. Fairly simple. hot sometimes. It burns the flesh. And there we go. We have our cone shape. Grab your Permalock needle. This might be too hot still. Okay, looks good. We've attached it. We are going to find the halfway point of our fall. Make sure you pick the right one. Let's see here. Okay. So what we're going to do, take our needle, like that. We're going to go inside of the other end. And it takes a little wiggle to get past that melt spot. Doesn't always work. Sometimes the needle breaks off. Let's see if we can get it in there. Great, the one time it doesn't work. And I filmed it. Alright, so you have to get your needle out. Try it again. Okay, so we've achieved what we need to do. Now that it's inside, you kind of just work the paracord, kind of like a caterpillar, until we have that loop up at the top here, and it's and until it's about a 1 inch loop. So we have our loop. It's a little bigger than 1 inch, but the Permalock needles to the other end, as you can see. Now you're going to take your whip, and we're going to slide all these strands through. Just like that. Now pull those through. Fairly easy. And now we can put our hemostats on to kind of hold things in place for a second. So we're going to take our fall. We're going to get that loop closed. So pull the slack. And we're just going to work our way backward now. There we go. And let this loop tight around the whip. There we go. All right, that looks good. Now we can pull that slack out because we've reached the diameter of the actual whip at this area. We're going to pull that slack back out. Just do that, run your fingers down it. So we're done with that. Right now, if you want, measure your fall to whatever length you guys would like. Like I said, I'm going 22. And we got a little room for wearing it out. Scissors. Take that, snip it. And we're just going to melt this end. Looks good for now. Alright guys, I'm going to show you how to do my signature fall hitch. I kind of made it up, so. What we're going to do, we have our 2 grays, 2 blues. We're going to take this gray, go around the back, and we're forming a loop over here. And all we're going to do is drop this down in there. And try not to get it all looped up here. And we're just going to tighten that one down. Okay, since we got that one tight, now we can let go. And forget about that one up front, right here. This one in the back. That's the one we want. Make your loop. And drop down in there. Let's see how that's going to seat. looks much better. Good. Our next one in line is gray. Just kind of work it around. There we go. And this one's going to be on this side. Go down through the loop. For whatever reason, this gray is a lot more fluffy than that blue is. It's kind of let me do what I want to do. Okay, so we have our actually three tie-offs on each side. We still have a blue one left. Melt it down to a cone one more time. The little needles make it so much easier to manipulate through the paracord. So, still hot, fucking red hot. Oh, less swearing. We're gonna skip that first one. We're gonna go under this one, right in the middle of them, and then we're also gonna go into the fall. We haven't actually pulled on that one yet. Something like that. Don't hit the lamp. And looks like we got a twist. Back it off, untwist it if you have to. Alright, so don't pull that tight yet. You can snip it now because it's going to be melted down. So now what you want to do is tighten that middle one down. Usually take some pliers and really crank on it, but doing it by hand should work too. Crank on all of them. Alright, so now we can pull our fall and kind of work it down so it's seated. There we go. And pull up on this just a little bit. Like I said, take some pliers and pull on these, hold them still, then. Okay, so we did that with the pliers. Now we're going to go through and we're going to snip them and melt them. Oh, I was about to say, don't snip your fall if it's the same color, because I've done that before and had to redo the whole thing. So we melt it, get something flat and something that's metal, ready to go. Or the lighter, that works too. Hard plastic. Should be good. Do our next gray. Fluff it up. Alright, I'm going to use the knife now. Looks good. We got this last one right here. Snip it. Leaving about 1/8 of an inch sticking out. Lighten it up. Grab your knife or flat, kind of round it off. That way those don't back out. And give this a little tug, not too much. Our fall should be directly in line. Snip this, fluff it, and then I'll probably press, give it the old fingerprint. And there you go. 550 paracord Nimboida fall hitch. 4 strands. Alright, so we've completed the actual whip portion. Now all that's left are knots and making crackers. So, speaking of crackers. Great job. Your whip looks great. I can see it right now. Well, I can't really tell, but... Alright, we've made it to the kitchen floor for the last time. So, what we're going to do, we're going to roll this whip out. And this should take about 5 minutes. Start at the top, work your way down, and go back up the whip. Right now I'm doing it kind of light pressure. Just to make sure everything's settling in. Well, it's not like we can go back and change things, but test the rolling out. I wouldn't crack it yet, but not in the house. Okay, good. All right, back to the vise. All right, we're back next to the vise. I'll just show you what we got here. Turned out pretty nice. We got some fuzzies sticking up from the paracord. If your hands are like mine, like sandpaper, it kind of rips the threads. But other than that, looks like we have a pretty nice looking whip right here. The micro paracord seated properly in most of the areas, so that's good. Alright, let's get back in the vise, back into the whip. This is neoprene rubber. You can pick this up. It's about a 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch thick, or you can use leather. And I cut it to 1 inch wide, and you can actually go around the whip with this for your heel foundation. And then you're going to need brad nails. You can build it up one more layer, like a smaller layer on the inside of that, or on top of it, I mean. And you use your glue, your brad nails, and artificial sinew to actually get that secure. And then you build your knot around it. So I'm not going to go into the details on that because that's not what I'm doing. I'm actually going to be doing something a little different. So wish me luck. I marked 1 inch in from the end of my rod, and I have my thread ready to rock. And Mel is pissed. What we're going to do, give herself enough slack to be able to tie that off. We're just above that 1 inch mark. Why we're doing this is to tie it off and put that metal piece on for our counterweight. Just tying a knot in that. Make sure it's fairly straight. Okay, so we're going to take our thread. We are going around a couple times, and then we should be able to pull tight to kind of singe it down, or tighten that plait down so it doesn't move. That should be pretty good right there. That's like about, I don't know, 6 passes. And then we take our other piece of thread, run it through there. I want at least some tension on it. Yep, still seated. That's good. Now we can snip it. Well, this is Dyneema, so it doesn't cut very well, but it does make good crackers. Now we are ready to take our razor blade and take this upper layer off. Okay, cutting the upper layer off to be able to fit this piece on. Now it's the fun part. You have to cut in a certain way, not to go too deep. Does that make sense? Because we're going to have some frayed edges here after we get this off. Just go around the whip. Like I said, don't cut too deep, because it will start to peel, as you can see. Okay, it's looking good. And we're going to come back through with a lighter to melt those fuzzies on that side, where the thread is. I'm just cutting just enough just to be able to expose that second belly. Everything's going good. So far, so good.
One of these. We got one more. Hang on.
Okay, looks good. That should be all of it. And we're going to take our lighter and melt. Take off the excess fuzzies. And this is going to melt the thread a little bit. Thread's not too heat resistant, I know that. We'll be securing this with glue as well, so that'll be helpful. Just getting all those spots to melt. Might have to rotate the whip to actually get the underside. Yep, see, it's melting the strands, but it's too late. It's already secured with the lighter. All right, let's see if our piece fits. It did. Will it still? Yeah. Of course it will. All right, good. And now, let's see, perfect. I have a 1/4 inch sticking out. I wanted 1/2 inch, but that should be good enough to actually be able to get it attached. We could take a layer of artificial sinew just to make an extra tight wrap, but 1 layer, not 2. Got that done. Flip that over. I'm not really worried about the end here because it's tapered, so let's see if this actually slips over now. Good. that's a little more snug. So, or yeah, because that's really tight now. But I like that. Good. So what we're gonna do, I think we're gonna spray paint this piece, and I'll be right back. That's our Dyneema. And that knot is super tight. Now we're gonna lay this right here. And we are ready to glue our metal foundation in place. I did paint it with some etching primer, so just to keep the rust off. I think it's galvanized either way. So we're going to test fit it. All right, looks good. I'm pulling the wrong one. There we go. All right, so it looks like it'll fit nice. Let's take our glue, and we are going to set it. Couple runs of this glue. I'm definitely gonna get up by here, where our paracord is. The ones we cut. Just work it along the edge. May have to roll it over. You only get one shot at this. Alright, that looks good. So here's what we're going to do. Slide this up and do it quickly because we don't have much time once this glue sets in. And I'm spinning it. Alright, so we have our foundation set. It's been 20 minutes. No, not really. Okay, so I have these 5/8 inch brad nails I like to use. Take some wire snips and cut them on an angle so they're nice and sharp. And we're just going to put that in there. Now, is that going to bottom out on that rod? I'm wondering right now. Let's see. We might trim that back a little bit more. We're going to need 4 of these because I drilled holes into this this nipple. Actually 2 nipples, you know that, in the beginning. So, alright, we have our brad nails cut to size, and we are going to hammer them in. That sounds not good. Alright, here we go. Oh, I got the goddamn cats in the background. Oh. I don't care if it scuffs it up a little bit. I want that flat, and I want it seated. Perfect. That turned out very nice. That's just a little reassurance that this won't slip off. So, alright, so we put our hockey tape on, cover up the top of those nails so they don't cut into our actual knot when we weave it around it. And I have this neoprene rubber stuff. I cut a piece about 1/8 of an inch wide to go over the top of that. So let's take a look and measure it, see how big of a piece we need. Once again, we're going to wrap this around there and get your artificial sinew prepared. I already have mine out. Help secure our thread that's on that whip right now. So what we're going to do, go like this, and the sinew should help us. It's gonna be a hard one to wrap right here, but let's see if we can actually do it. Just to kind of hold things in place until it sets the glue. And we should be good to go. Give give it about 5 minutes to set up. I just took off the artificial sinew, and we have our neoprene rubber secured over the top of that thread, which is actually encouraging my taper, which is what I wanted. So instead of wrapping that artificial sinew all the way around, it just kind of turns into mush and it gets longer and longer. We don't want that. So this should be pretty good, guys and girls. Now we're going to take the hacksaw and cut the back end off this to make it flush. We're going to take our razor blade. We're going to go around town. Let's see here. Can we get that tape off there so I can see the rod? Maybe. Yeah. So it's barely poking out. That's good. We'll take a either the angle grinder or a hacksaw to the back end of that. Same with the steel rods if you have one. Alright, so I took the angle grinder to that. Now we're going to melt the fuzzies. Melt those all down. Looks like we got some gappage in the back here. We'll address that here. Right there. I think we're just going to pour some glue down in there. That should set up. You could take a piece of leather, like some real thin stuff, like some 2mm, maybe 1mm, and just cap it, which is actually what I might do here, but I haven't decided on a cap yet for our foundation. So let that glue go in. Alright, for putting our caps on, I usually take this leather piece, glue that down, and then put some kind of metal or carbon fiber or plastic or even leather again on top of that. Roughed up the one side, the other side still has the plastic on it, and that fits on the end of our whip, as you can see. What I like to do is put a piece of leather in between to actually attach this to and glue it on. So since I cut the disc to the right size, we can use it as the template to trace around our piece of leather, which happens to be some of this 2mm cowhide. So we're going to take that and trace around it and cut it out with my own little logos. I have a couple examples here. Sometimes I use pins, coins, just matter what you guys want to do. I have a Nick's Whip Shop here. He makes his custom as well. You can see he's got his logo punched in there, custom punch for it, and serial number underneath it. So turns out pretty cool. Couple of my examples that I have available right now. This one kind of popped out a little bit. This one's a pin. That might hurt, but either way, it still turned out pretty cool. You can see it sticks out a little bit on this one because I wanted to keep the leg in there. That shouldn't dig into your hand very much. There's a video coming out for that as well. So, and then one of my whips from last year, the Catatonia bird custom sticker I made, put on top of a carbon fiber disc I made. Just shape it round. Use a belt sander to shape it, make it circular, so it fits on perfectly on the back of your whip. And we already have one available right now. I just made it. Keep the plastic on until it is completely secure on top of our whip. So that's what we're going to be doing with this. And I also have a sticker logo I made just for the top of this. Other than that, I think it's going to be pretty good, guys. And I painted it so it stays rust proof. It's like a lot of glue, but take your piece of leather and just... Alright, so I came back through with a razor blade, clean up the edges, and now we're ready for the disc. That should be enough. Make sure your disc is center. And that's not coming off. Perfect. Now we're going to take some hockey tape. We're going to go around that once. Trim that off. See our carbon fiber, which is awesome. And we have our logo. Am I right? Yeah. Logo might be a little big for the knot after it goes around it, but you guys get the idea. Get our knot foundation started, and we will go from there. All right, I'm adding more stuff as we go here. I'm going to take this little piece of leather that I just cut. That's about half an inch wide, and I cut it to length to fit around the metal foundation, just to give it a little more roundness, a little more shape to it. Around the whole thing. And then take your sinew and wrap around that to hold this down for now. Pull that tight. Very good. You guys are doing great. Alright, and the next thing we're going to need is a 5-foot piece of 550 paracord. And we're going to cone the end with our micro paracord needle. Perma lock, either way. Find the end. Start at the bottom. We're going to go up. And around, crossing that one at the bottom. We're going to go up again. We're trying to make the square top over that one, under this one, and over the bottom one. Alright, then we come around again, and we're going to hit this one over here on the back side. When we're trying to make our square, this one we're going to go underneath, and you can't see it in the back. But there's a million tutorials on this. Over the top one, over this one, under that one, make sure we don't have any twists. And we're using the Midnight Acid Blue on this one. Over the next one, and then over the next one on the way up over here, and then we're going to go under this one on this side. And we get to the top again, over that one, under this one. Yeah, let's see if we can show you that back side of this. I don't know why I just didn't spin that to begin with. Over that one, under this one, Everybody says my knots are one of my strong points. Well, it takes a little practice, but eventually you just make enough that where you're like, I got this. I know what this is. We're gonna go under right here, right next to where we started. Good. Now we are going to expand this knot to a 6 by 7, 7 by 6, something like that. Then we're going to follow that first one that we started with right here, all the way up to the top. No twisting. We don't want it to be twisting. Okay, so we made it to the top. There's an X right here. We're going to go over it and under. Spin it around. Now we're following this one down. A salt pack right here. I always pick dark colors to do knots in. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so we made it to the bottom. As you can see, there's another X right here. And we just split the first one and that last one we just came up with. And this one you want to leave slack on. Don't let it twist. So leave a little slack right down there. As we come up, go over that one and under this one at the top. That's where the X was. Let's see. Perfect. Made it to the top. And we're going to go under that one right there. So you'll see 6 sides at the top in a second once I get back down to the bottom here. So over the next one, under this one, over that one, and under that very bottom one where we left that big loop. We're going to go over that big loop. So we made it to the bottom. Now we're going to organize this mess. Start working the top a little bit. See what we got going on down these sides. Go the opposite side. And we're going to go under 2 with another 5-foot piece of 550 paracord. Under that one. Over this one and under these 2 right here. Alright, now we're down the other side. Over that one, under this one. Bottom, over this one, under this X. Go back around the beginning. Yep. Gonna go over that one, under this one. Over that, and to our X, we are going to go under 3. We're taking out that gray one too. Leave some slack. Yep, looks good. Next one is under. After that, over. And then we're back down to our X, the bottom. And we have the gray one to deal with too. So we're going to go under that one too. Over now. Under. Over that one. Under our X at the top, plus the gray. So it looks good. And then we have this other one to deal with, which is over 2, under 1. Yep, okay. Over the next one. The bottom, hit our X, plus the third one, which is gray for me. We can actually dig it out. There we go. And going back up, over 2, under 1. At the top, under our X, plus the gray. Everything's looking pretty good at this point. Okay, over 2, under 2. And then down to our X plus the gray again. And we've hit this. Over 2, under 2. Back at the top, under our X, plus the gray. Over 2, under 2. Then it's over 2. Right there, dig our X out, plus the gray. Pull that through. Going back up to the top again. Over 2, under 2. Then over 2, under our X plus the gray strand. This one's going to be tough. Sometimes they're hard to dig out. over 2, under 2, heading back down. Looks like this is our last one. And then over 2, under the X, but it looks like we end it, so we're going to go under all of it. Something like that. Pull that through. And keep those twists out of there. There we go. Alright, and you should have something very similar to this. I know it looks like there's a lot of gaps right now, but we got micro paracord going in to help with the highlights. And now we can work our knot around, kind of fluff it up. Everything looks right. Double check, make sure your zigzag is in order. Everything looks good. It's very loose and there's a lot of gaps at this point, so don't give up. Press on and you will succeed.